Hi, Ryan Hartman here with Cliff Clover, cliffcloverhomes.com down in Orlando, and we're going to talk real quickly about the top 5 Orlando vacation home myths that Cliff hears all the time. How you doing, Cliff? I'm going to jump right in here, okay?
You got it.
Okay, so the first one that comes up a lot for you is that you get questions about taxes. I guess people are saying they think they'll pay higher taxes because they're not a Florida resident.
Yeah, that's right, Ryan. So what happens is a lot of times, especially our friends from up north in Canada, I guess in the rumor mill, they've heard that they end up paying higher taxes because they're Canadians, or also some of our friends from New York and various other locations feel that there's going to be a higher tax base if they actually own a second home or investment property in the state of Florida, and that simply is not the case. So what happens is that even if I buy a property in Florida, or someone else who lives in Florida buys another property, it's considered a second home. And therefore, where people get confused is what we call homestead exemption for our primary residences. And so what I've been able to do is I send a link on the explanation of what a homestead exemption or how to qualify one for. In a nutshell, it just means that you're going to live in the property full time, that you're claiming this property, whether you're Canadian, Russian, or whoever you are, where from any other part of the world, you have to reside here more than 6 months to have a driver's license, a Florida driver's license, and then you can, in fact, claim your property as your primary residence and receive a discount from your property value taxes up to $50,000 if you are married. So that's where a lot of the confusion comes in, where people think they're paying higher taxes, and that's simply not the case. So
Right.
taxes are based on the purchase price of the property. Hopefully that helps.
Yep, yep. And then the next one is condos are better. So a lot of people think they need to buy a condo because of the maintenance and rentability.
Right, that's exactly it. So the initial thought is people come down to Central Florida and they want to buy a secondary home, and they think, well, I'd just rather have a condo or townhome because of the maintenance aspect of not having to worry about a lawn or whatever the case may be of an external issue. And this is simply not the case. You actually, condos are a phenomenal opportunity on the coast of Florida, and depending on where you are buying condos, there certainly are great condos no matter what. But typically, if you're buying a secondary home or investment property, having a single-family home is actually can sometimes, let me just preface that, sometimes be less expensive to operate per month. Plus, we have property managers that mow the lawns and maintain the properties for a lot less money than you would paying a condo association or homeowner association for that. So it's simply not true in regards to cost of maintenance in order to uphold your property, and vice versa. So it just means, please call me and talk to me in regards to your goals, and we're happy to walk you through on what's going to be your best option. But that is one of the common myths of people who want to have an investment property here.
Okay, so single family, just as good as condos, just depends on your situation.
Yeah, it really does. And I make sure that some people call me up and they say, well, I want to get a condo, and the next thing you know, they just bought a 5 bedroom pool home instead, based on what their goals are. It just depends. We want to make sure that they're not hearing something in the rumor mill that in fact is not actual the case.
Gotcha. Next one, you just talked about buying a 5 bedroom pool home. So a lot of people think, I
Right.
guess, bigger is better because they need to appeal to the Disney crowd, right? They need a 5 to 7 bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so without getting ahead of myself here, that's a good point. So bigger is not necessarily better. I always ask my clients when they call me, I say, what is it that you're looking to do? And some people think, well, if they invest in a bigger house, then their options to make more rental income or revenue is a better option, where in fact, maybe it's just, they're a small family, or they have a group of brother or sister, whoever, and they want to kind of co-op into this type of stuff. So the answer is, there's really the sweet spot here for investment property is about a 4 bedroom home. So if you're buying a short-term zone property that's a 4 bed, you're going to get the maximum output as far as desirability of rental. Now that doesn't mean that investment for you. And again, we can go over those options, and that will determine the neighborhood and area of what you're trying to achieve. So I hope that helps.
Yep, gotcha. Now, next one is I need to be in a vacation home area versus a regular residential neighborhood. So I guess in Orlando, you've got a lot of complexes, would you call them, that are specifically vacation homes?
Right. So this is a big problem that a lot of people have when they come searching online or they come out here and they want to start looking at houses. And they start finding houses in other locations or subdivisions to keep it easy. And they say, wow, that's a great bargain for that house. Wow, that house is $50,000, $75,000 less or $100,000 less than where the other properties are that I was looking at. And the answer is the zoning may not be appropriate for what you're trying to do, or it may be a non-gated community or gated community. So we have different types of communities that determine desirability as far as rentals close to the Disney World area. So you want to make sure, and it's not easily observable online. So to find a gated versus non-gated resort community online, that's where working with a professional is going to really narrow down what's important to you, how you want to be able to own your property, and what subdivisions will best meet your needs for the usage of that home. So that's where having a professional is going to really pay off and save you a ton of money.
Okay, and tied in with this, it's kind of a similar thing, but one thing that people, I guess, get confused a lot about is that short-term versus residential zoning problem.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So the big thing here is that we want to make sure that the home is actually zoned properly. In other words, short-term zoning for everybody is that it enables you to use the house as a hotel. So you can rent it for a night, a week, you can live in it full-time, you can rent it full-time, or you can do nothing at all with it. But then there are other subdivisions or areas, such as, say, Celebration or other communities, where it's only strictly residential only. So that means that you either have to rent it out full-time for a long-term contract, or you have to live in it full-time, or not at all. So short-term zoning gives you the greatest amount of leverage, but there are certain subdivisions, especially primarily in Davenport, Kissimmee, and certain areas of Clermont, where you're going to find the most short-term zoned communities and properties that are just really geared for the Central Florida vacation experience. So you can essentially rent a property. Some of these people don't realize that you can rent your house out for about 130 or better per night and do it for over 40 weeks out of the year, or sometimes less. It just depends on the type of property and where it is. So that can be quite profitable, but that also opens up other questions as far as property managers and taxes and various other things. So you don't have to have a long-term tenant in your investment property if you want to, and you want to use a short-term zone property, maybe only a couple weeks out of the year, but then have it cash flow the rest of the year while you are, living where you are. Then short-term zone property is a fantastic option for you, and I'm happy to go over your goals and those areas on a one-on-one basis if anyone wants to.
Great, Cliff. So that was nice and quick. I know people watching are busy, so we'll kind of let them go. But before we go, your website is cliffcloverhomes.com, right?
That's right, cliffcloverhomes.com.
And then your phone number, just in case anybody wants to just go ahead and text or call you direct. What would they use?
Sure, they can call me direct on my cell phone, and that's going to be 321-229-5890. And again, that's 321-229-5890, and that'll get me direct.
Cool. Okay. Well, feel free to reach out to Cliff if you have any questions about buying a home in Central Florida, Orlando area, specifically vacation homes. And you do a lot with golf too, right, Cliff? I know it's a little bit of a niche of yours.
Absolutely, yeah. We specialize in golf. I mean, most people that come out here are vacationing. They want to golf, and so we have very specific locations where we can find the best deals or what makes a good match for what somebody's looking to achieve. No problem at all.
Great. Thanks, Cliff. Have a good one.
Thanks, Ryan.